It's a welcome to the Lite Bar. Please put your hands together and help me welcome on stage your bartender, your MC, all the way from over here, Mr. Mpho Popps Mudikwane. Papata, don't be jealous, papata. Dumelang, Sanbonani, hi. Guys, welcome to the Lite Bar. So guys, this is the first ever of its kind in the world. This is a Mind Matters pop-up bar, the first of its kind in this world, proudly brought to you by Castle Light. And I just want to send a shout out to everyone that's watching at home. So it's not just us, we are live streaming. So we have people at home. Let's say hi, guys. Hi. Hi to those of you who have Wi-Fi and data. If you want to get more people watching, make sure they go to www.94.7.co.za. I have simple house rules here today, guys. Simple house rules. We're here to talk. I'm going to bring real people to you. They are celebrities, established people in their fields, icons, but I want you to know that they're real people. They're my friends. So I want to invite you into the conversations we have outside of the glitz and the glam that you see. This year has been rough on all of us, guys. It's been rough on all of us, and we know that. So that's what today is all about. The point is to talk. Because the things we don't discuss is that 40% of all men don't talk about their mental health issues. So what ends up happening is we have a higher suicide rate. 78% of all males under the age of 35 commit suicide. So today is about bless you. Hey, yeah, and you try to cover that, you try to pull that sneeze back. Security. So guys, this is what today is exactly about. Because you ask yourself, so why would Casa Lite do something like this? Why an initiative like this, right? So the Lite Bar, and that's the hashtag we want you guys to use tonight when you engage with us, is hashtag the Lite Bar. The whole point of this is that even though we don't talk as men, what we end up doing is we talk to strangers. We talk to our barber. We talk to the bartender. We tell him our problems. We find it hard to open up to family, to our friends. And that's why we're doing it in this setting. So this is the Lite Bar, ladies and gentlemen. This is where we have real conversations with real people surrounding real issues that are plaguing us with mental health. Because guys, 2020 has been hard. Who knew this year would start out like this? We all had goals. 2020, 2020. Who knew we'd be doing groceries at Macro with 4 trolleys, preparing, buying toilet paper? I've never had 200 toilet rolls in my house. Hey, but this is what I love about us, and this is why today is important. Because no matter how much we've been through as a country, we are resilient. We've survived. Everyone that's here, everyone that's watching, we are survivors. We made it to this point. They tried to ban us from so many things, but we survived. They tried to ban alcohol. What did we do? We boiled pineapples, ferment. They tried to ban us from seeing our girlfriends and boyfriends. What did we do? We met them in the aisles of Spar and Pick n Pay. Some guy even tried to sneak his girlfriend in the boot of a polo player. Do you remember? The only way they knew it wasn't a kidnapping, when they opened the boot, they found she had a pie and a Tropica in. So that's what I love, is that we're strong, we're resilient as a nation, as a people, but we need to start talking about the issues that are really plaguing us when it comes to mental health and mental wellness. So, with that being said, I am your barman today. We want to have this conversation over a nice, ice-cold Casa Lite. But remember, we don't serve to anyone under the age of 18. So please remember to drink responsibly at all times. So, without further ado, ladies and gentlemen, I'm going to let that vrpa go by. I'm going to introduce my panel, ladies and gentlemen. So, when it comes to my panel, hi, guys, Mamela. First person I'm going to introduce, ladies and gentlemen. Some of you might recognize her, some of you might not. I don't know who those of you are, but she's an icon. She started acting years ago, ladies and gentlemen. She has made a name for herself as a TV personality, as a radio broadcaster. Some of you might know her as a queen, the one, the only filmmaker, producer, international movies. She was in the Scorpion King. Guys, she was in another show called Quanta Quinto. We couldn't know how to pronounce it in some. Who said Quanta Quinto? Ladies and gentlemen, the one, the only. Please put your hands together and help me welcome Pearl Thusi. Ladies and gentlemen, she does not roll alone.
Change my mind.
Up next, ladies and gentlemen, is a TV icon. This is someone who has been in entertainment for 42 years. I look around the room, I don't see anyone past 42 here. So even before you were an idea, this person was on, I was going to say the silver screen, but back then it was just black and white. Ladies and gentlemen, this is a man who has worked through all the ages of South African entertainment. He is an entrepreneur. He's a fashion icon. He is a judge. He is recently married and off the market. He's a man who has no respect for the English language. Ladies and gentlemen, the ever so graciously fabulous. Please put your hands together and help me welcome to the Lite Bar, Mr. Somizi Mpho Popps. Man, wena man. Umuhle kanjani chum?
Ungibonile wayonza le chest.
Beg chest I3. Allah. Ladies and gents, to add to our panel, you know, like we've always said, we like to keep it diverse. We have people from all walks of life, from all over the country, ladies and gentlemen. This next person flew in all the way from the motherland. You are going to be looking at an earthquake survivor, ladies and gentlemen, all the way from Cape Town. This guy goes, I'm our Cape Townians, just a grrr. Did you feel it? Did you feel it? I think a bathroom towel cracked. But here's the earthquake. Puma wig. So ladies and gents, this next guy, ladies and gentlemen, is one of the people who's the brainchild behind the Kiffness. Yes, we have with us legendary music composer, producer. He goes by the name of David Scott. Ladies and gentlemen, this is a man who uses not one, not two, but 3 bottles of gel daily. Please, put your hands together and help me welcome on stage, all the way from back there, Mr. David Scott. Wait. No? It's okay, my friend. He's still tremor. Ladies and gents, this next guy coming on stage, bless you. This next guy coming on stage, ladies and gentlemen, someone I, as a brother, look up to. I've been looking up to him for years. This is a man who started his music career on cassette, moved all the way into CD, and this is a man who literally took his talent and turned it into so much more. He's an executive producer on Idols. He's one of the best hosts that South Africa has ever seen. A man who started out in the entertainment industry as a size 28 waist, but through hard work and dedication is now a 34. Ladies and gentlemen, former sales house account holder, Mr. Proverb.
Thank you. Thank you so much.
All right, so ladies and gents, remember, we want you to join into our conversation. Follow us at Castle Light SA, and the hashtag for tonight is #the Lite Bar. So guys, first of all, thank you so much for joining me. Thank you so much for being here.
Thank you.
As you all know, today's thing is very simple. We're just going to talk. We're having a conversation about mental health,
right?
You know, and with me, I'm going to kick it off with this year. You know, before we dive deep into its origins, where it started, where it began, I just want to talk about how 2020 has just been such a crazy year, man. I think it put a lot of strain not only on our finances, but our relationships as well. And then a lot of us suffered a great deal of losses. We lost people, we lost relationships, and I think for me, the one thing that it did was it displaced me completely because my life was going on one trajectory, and next thing I know, everything stopped. You know, everything stopped. There was plans that I had. There were things I was supposed to host. There was countries I was supposed to go to perform at, and here we are in lockdown, and my calendar keeps reminding me that, hey, we were supposed to be in LA. Hey. And I think I went on a downward depression, because I sort of realized what I was missing out on. And all these years that I had worked, it felt like what my therapist describes as I was mourning a death. I was literally watching the person that I had built and worked to become over the past 11 years, the sacrifices I've made, the people that I've lost along the way, just sacrificing for this dream. I felt like that all was just going away. So I want to know from you guys, like, what has 2020 been like?
Sure. From the eye contact, I gather you'd like a response from myself.
Yes.
2020, I think we can all agree, goes without saying, has been a difficult year, unprecedented changes. It's been tumultuous. None of us expected it, prepared for it.
Tumultuous.
Yeah, Julie,
Bro,
also
help the brother with the Arsenal shirt. Tumultuous.
Upside down, kurene sukudisa, you know what I mean? Resokotse marrekonne. All right, that's the best I can do. But having said all that, you know, I think 2020 also gave us an opportunity to see how we can, how resourceful we are, how adaptable we are, how we're able to maneuver despite the challenges, how we're able to rise from it. All the things that you mentioned have happened. We have lost people. Our peers have perhaps lost work. We've lost a lot of gigs, etc. But through it all, there's two ways of responding to it. Either, you know, we can be defeated by it, you know, and come out of it broken, damaged, at a loss. Or we can learn from it, grow from it, develop, come out of it with, you know, new skills. We can upskill ourselves. We can, you know, sort of maneuver and adapt and come out a little bit stronger. So I think it all depends on how you respond to it.
Yeah, I like that. David, you are sort of in the space where I am, where we use humor to mask what we're going through. And what we did, I guess, a lot during lockdown is we kept making funny videos and whatnot.
Yeah.
Do you use comedy as a way to deal with whatever?
No, totally. I have a lot of anxiety and stress like everyone else, but I think like you, we just figure out how to channel that energy because at the end of the day, frustration, happiness, whatever it is, it's just energy, and it's up to us, you know, how we channel it. We can either take it out on other people or take it out on social media and just complain, or we can take that energy and kind of divert it or convert it into humor or art or whatever it is.
Yeah.
And I guess to an extent, that's kind of what I've tried to do, and I've made the best of my circumstances. You know, you can either be a victim or a victor of your circumstance. And I've chosen to try my best to just be a victor of my circumstance. And I mean, as terrible as this year's been, I mean, my YouTube at the start of this year started at 3,000 subscribers. It's now on 70,000. I got featured on Somizi's Instagram, which was a big honor for me. I got onto Instagram and I was like, why am I getting all these followers? And it's because Somizi posted one of my parodies at the start of lockdown. And yeah, I guess it's important to have humor in these times, just to try and make light of a very dark time.
What's happening. Somizi, I want to ask you, when it comes to opening up to someone, right? When it comes to the issue of talking to someone about what you're going through mentally, you know, as a person, you get to a point where you realize, I'm not happy, I'm despondent. I'm surrounded by so many people that I can speak to, that I can approach, people I call friends and family, but I find it hard to talk to any of them. When do you get to the point where you build up the courage to actually approach someone and say, this is what I'm going through, this is how I'm feeling?
Well, for me, I nearly said, but
Narasa.
For me, I find it easy. I found a way of expressing my frustrations or my anxiety or my depression, and it works for me. And it's quite different from any other that I've seen before. So usually people would go to a close friend or a family member. I don't do that. Me, I put on my camera and then I share it. on my social pages. And for me, it's kind of therapeutic to use my issues to heal other people.
Yes.
Because I am aware of the voice and the power that my voice has, and the assumption that a lot of people, especially my followers, think of me. They think my life is all hunky-dory, I'm always happy. But when I'm going through the most, I find it therapeutic for me to share it with the world, because I gain strength by knowing that somebody out there, out of the 3.7 million people that follow me, even if it's two people that were on the verge of committing suicide or giving up, when they look at me and see, I am not alone, but not only am I not alone, Somizi is going through the same thing. That heals me as well, so it works for me. I don't believe in, I understand that I was on this earth for a purpose.
Yes.
And the purpose is to uplift and to heal and to save and to do A, B, C, and D. So I use that, and that's how I talk about everything that I'm going through. And it's beautiful because no one can hold anything against you.
Yes.
No one can go gossip about you and say, Nizilo is depressed. No, Ushilo.
You already put it out
there.
there.
Ushilo,
Yes.
it's out there. And you become stronger by doing that, for me, I think. And I think anyone else can relate. And it's good to relate. Like with me as well, if I see a person that I look up to, I gain strength. I realize I am not alone. And the sooner, the better, when people realize whatever you're going through, there's nothing special about you.
Yes.
Yeah. And also, I always say to my friends when they come to me and say, Somizi, I'm going through A, B, C, and D, how can I get out of it? I first start with inyam.
Yeah. Yeah.
So deal with it, face it head on. I'm not going to put bandages on you. No. Feel the pain, deal with it, and move
Go
forward.
through it.
Yeah.
Yes. Ooh, okay. I hear what you're saying. Yes. Pearl, my one is a two-parter for you, right? Because Somizi touched on using his platform as a healing tool, right? And I think a lot of what we go through today as a generation, as the youth, is the pressures of social media, right? People log on to social media, they look at Somizi's lifestyle. They go, oh, he's rocking a Versace, he's, umnandi, ooh, he's driving a G-Wagon. And they look at Pro, he's become a yellow bone, his skin tone has changed. You know what I mean? Like, people go, they aspire to the lives they see on social media, right? And they look at our lives and they assume that we don't go through any type of depression. And then also, so two-parter is, does social media attribute to people's depression or contribute to their depression? And then the second part is, with you and your social media, I know, and a lot of us know, that you get attacked a lot on social media. People troll you, people come for you, people are... How do you deal with that?
Definitely social media, I think, does contribute to people becoming depressed. They allow the energy that they find there to affect them or to make them feel less, not knowing that, just like entertainment, social media is an illusion that we create. It's an illusion. I show you a portion of my room. These backgrounds we see on Zoom lately, there's a reason someone chose that part of the house. And you can wonder what's happening in the rest of the house. Or at the bottom below. It's all about it. And people allow that to affect them because there's this competitive spirit that we've created, and this materialism that we've created. It's okay for Somizi to love a G-Wagon. It doesn't mean you must also go and get it. Be inspired by Somizi having a G-Wagon, or him being an executive producer, or Pearl doing 1, 2, 3. But it does not mean that is also your journey. But it also doesn't mean inspiration needs to turn into comparison to self. And so get therapy, but also know that, like, God won't give you someone else's blessings the same way He won't give your blessings to someone else. You know what I'm saying? You just need to learn how to cope with that type of situation. And for me, like, I alchemize the energy people send my way. So the negative energy, the point is, you're talking about me. That's all I need to cut my check.
You.
What you're saying, you know what I mean? The point is you went and spent your money, you spent your data. Sometimes, of course, I am affected. But I also have to remember that, you know, if I had 10 followers, how irresponsible would I be to try and get attention? It's people begging for, so I think as a mother, I always try and think in a multidimensional way. I sometimes think for the person who, the keyboard warrior, whomever's on the other side, and think, I wonder what this person is going through for them to feel, you must be in such a dark place for you to feel like it's okay to send some of this darkness my way. And so it is what it is, but I do have a therapist, I have children, and I have a very, very good head on my shoulders, I believe.
Yes.
And I keep on reminding myself of my own value, my own worth, and the goal that I've set for myself, and how I can't allow these distraction, lezi just concretizing and amazinyo. Do you know what I mean?
Yes.
Because baya concreta, mase ngithi asilumaneni manje, angeke uzothula umuntu, uzocela isithombe futhi. So, you know what I mean? It's like, it's I have to understand where someone else is coming from. So
I hear you.
I'm trying to be brief, so I'll end it
I
there.
hear you. Thank you, Pearl. And so what brings us here today, guys, is the fact that what's happening out there is that a lot of us are finding it hard to talk about our problems. To our friends, to our family members, we have access. I mean, there's 10 ways you can reach someone on the phone. But we're finding it hard to just pick up the phone and reach out for help. And it's predominantly men. So David, why do you think it is that as men, we find it hard to talk to each other about issues of mental health and just, I don't know, being vulnerable to each other?
I think there are many facets. For me, I went to an all-boys boarding school where it was very kind of macho, and you don't show weakness or vulnerability, because vulnerability is a weakness, you know. But I was lucky enough to be part of the Christian Fellowship Society. And there, for the first time, I saw first-team rugby players, you know, sharing their hearts and crying. And I was like, what the hell's going on here? And I think that was so important for me to see that, you know, you can be first-team rugby, but also be vulnerable and soft.
Yeah.
And I think growing up, that was very important for me to realize. And I think I've carried that forward just in my profession. I always try and wear my heart on my sleeve and just be honest with my audience. You know, like everything that I do is very authentic and is very much a part of me. But I think when it comes to sharing with family, I don't know. I don't know if anyone feels the same, but it's very important to have your parents proud of you. And I think, like I just want my mom and dad to be proud of me. And if I show that, you know, I might be struggling in some way, that I might disappoint them, but that's been anything but the case. I think as I've gotten older, I've realized, you know, my parents really are there for me and have my best interests at heart, and they want to hear this stuff from me. But I think it's just something that comes with age, perhaps. I think now that I'm in my 30s, I'm more comfortable around my parents, and I'm happier to kind of share my struggles. But I wish I was, you know, more comfortable in my 20s when I was a teenager, and I was very impressionable. And
but it's part of the journey, I guess.
Yeah,
it's part of growing up.
So yeah, I think the main stigma is just that vulnerability is weakness. But
yes.
I've learned that, you know, it's in sharing your weakness that you actually become strong.
Exactly.
And yeah,
I'm actually coming to you. If
No,
there's
I
something
wanted to add on.
Yes.
When I had the question, I've always wanted to answer that, and I hardly hear people getting straight to the core. It starts from the foundation. The foundation is boys.
Yes.
Boys are taught not to cry,
Yes.
not to express
Indoda
themselves.
ikhali.
But also as they grow up, men are attached to their egos. Everything is ego-driven.
Yes.
Um,
We compete.
Not even competing as such, their egos does not allow them to be vulnerable. Everything about them is about size as well, and literally about size. How well endowed you are, how much of a bigger bank account you have, a bigger car. That is why you see mostly it's men that buy these cars to compensate for what they lack. It's men that buy 20 champagnes at a club. I swear to God, I've never, and I stand to be corrected, have you ever seen a woman buying 20 champagnes at a club and they're just going to a woman and she's sitting like this? No. No. It's only men, because it's their ego that's driving them. With these 20 champagnes, I'm going to get 3 chicks.
Yes.
And the chicks sitting on the other side, they're going to envy, they're going to want to be on this table.
And I also want to show the other men.
On the other side. And then that's when you start seeing champagne from one table to another. It's competition. It's all about ego. And then how do you expect that person to say, I am broke, I am broken, I am sad, I'm depressed, I am being physically abused in my relationship? The reason why we hear a lot of women coming out, it's because society has made it okay. We expect that from you as a woman, to be beaten, to be abused. We don't expect a man to come out and say, I'm being abused at home. I'm being emotionally abused. I'm being physically abused. I'm being sexually abused. Men don't come out. It's the ego. Once you start dealing with the ego from the word go, to say to your son, Nana, if something hurts you, express it.
Yes.
Express it. Say it. It starts there. So we are now talking at a very late stage where it's going to be difficult for you, Mpho, to come to me and say, Somizi, I've got an issue. I can't walk in the shower at Jimini because I am smaller than so and so. And for me to say, Mpho, it's okay, that's all you have. There's nothing else. There's nothing you can do. We'll use it, deal with it.
Yes.
You know? So it starts from a very early age, and that is why it's important to train our kids. You've got
I do.
a son
And a daughter.
and a daughter. And you need to focus equally on them, not protect your daughter from everything else, but also train your son and protect him from everything that could equally happen to your daughter. We think boys cannot be raped. We think boys cannot hurt or break a pinky and cry. So it starts there.
So this is what I want to know, because you've touched on parenting. So, and this is to Pearl and to Verb. So we know how we were raised. We know the type of households we were raised in, the set of rules. Women should be like this. Women should be taught to respect a man. You know, you were groomed for marriage. We were taught, indoda ikhali, you know, qina ndoda, be strong. So what are you doing as parents to correct those behaviors? So what are you doing as part of that unlearning? How are you raising your kids as opposed to how you were raised?
Please. I insist.
Okay. Wow. This is a serious
The glasses
question.
come off.
You know, I'm a single mom, and I'm not saying the father's not involved. I'm saying in the household, I am the breadwinner, I am single, and I'm a mother. And my daughter, the older one, Utando, gets to experience a household with a mom and a dad, and a household just with a mom. So I'm only to hear what her experience has been watching me be the man and the woman in the house. You know, for me, what I'm doing with my kids is be an example of what I hope they will, of the type of choices they might make one day, of you can do whatever it is you want, and you have to be strong, you have to challenge yourself. But she sees me cry. Who do you think puts a blanket on me in the morning when I fell asleep on the couch, came back from the club? She knows I was working, you know what I mean? I try not to shield my kids from things that are used usually to shame women. Oh, yeah, groove, when's I in, girls are not supposed to do that. No, this is actually what I'm doing, and this is how I make money. And then the other thing is, for me, like, I don't have a son, so maybe he can speak on this a bit better. But for me, my girls, sports, whatever you want to do, you can at least try it, you can do it. There's no discussion of that's a boy's thing, that's a girl's thing. Tando's color because of rebellion is blue, because she was like, no one's going to tell me my favorite color is pink because I'm a girl. My father was a very kind of, you know, in a patriarchal system and subscribe to
school
it.
dad, yeah.
But my father's type of love for his daughters, when he watched me in the chicken coop outside, I loved looking after the dogs. I loved gardening. I loved running. I was a tomboy,
Yes,
right?
yes.
And my father encouraged me because I was being useful at least outside and helping him out. And he would tell my mother, don't just make her cook. Like, she enjoys what she's doing. So he used to actually argue with my mother to let me do things that are, not gender expected, you know what I mean? So that was very powerful for my father to do. And to this day, it's something I really hold dear to my heart.
Oh, that's beautiful. That's beautiful. Proverb, with you, especially like you have a son, right?
I do.
In your household, do you encourage saying the words, I'm not okay? Because I feel like that's something we don't do. We always greet each other, Shontwana, oh grand, I'm grand. Hey, how are you? I'm fine. Also with my little one, I get that a lot as well. I'm fine. Do you encourage that in the household? And also, what are you doing to?
100%. Not only do I encourage it, I demonstrate it.
Okay.
My kids know firsthand how flawed I am, how imperfect I am, all the mistakes I make. They probably know first before anybody else. And should I have breakdowns or low days, or high days for that matter, they would just see it first. So I try and create an environment where we don't live under the illusion of perfection, nor do we live under the illusion that I, as the parent, would know more and therefore in a position to tell you, I show my mistakes. And I think we therefore learn together. I only have limited references, which can only be my parents. And their reference point is also from the time that they can only refer to. So parenting has changed now. We're in a different environment. Our kids are exposed to different things. They know more than, our generation at their age, etc.
Yeah.
So to engage with them, you almost have to give them all this information to their disposal and try and empower them to discern right from wrong. So my departure point is first to show how imperfect I am, and I start there and move forward.
Somizi, David touched on something earlier where he said his parents are very proud of him, and he wants to make them proud. And it took him a long time to get to that point, and he wished he would have done that sooner. He wished he would have started sort of formulating that relationship with them from his teenage years. Being a close friend of yours, I know that, first of all, I know your parents are proud of you, but what I know is that your parents accepted you for who you were back then when it was taboo. Your parents understood. Not only did they understand, they encouraged you and they guided you. So what I want to know from you is, how would you advise someone who's not in your situation, someone who's coming from a household where they don't know how to come out to their parents? They don't know how to come out and say, this is who I am, this is who I identify as. And they, as a result, end up staying in the closet and being depressed and finding other toxic ways of dealing with whatever mental issues comes with that.
It's going to be difficult for me to say I will understand or I understand what they would be or could be going through because I don't know it. I never had to come out to my parents. I never. I've always been me. And that plays a huge role in the confidence. And that is why I've always been this confident. Because it's like, I'll give you an example, a difference between a black child and a white child. A white child does not have to explain themselves who they are. They don't have to encounter being stopped. No, you can't sit here. No, you can't enter here.
Don't speak when older people are speaking.
No, not even that. Those are manners. I'm talking about they don't have to worry about being themselves because they don't experience that. They know nothing about racism. They know nothing about, so their level of confidence is different to any other, to Indian, to colored, to black. It's different, whether we like it or not. A white child does not experience, sorry, wait there, stand there, no blacks allowed, no whites allowed. They don't know that. They hear about it, but they never experience. So that plays a huge role in the confidence of the child growing
Yes.
up.
Yes.
Same thing with sexuality. Same thing with sexuality. A Somizi would have more confidence than a Spiwe who comes from a religious family or a traditional family,
Yes.
and because they are always reminded what you are doing and who you are is wrong. It's not allowed. I don't know that. That is why when I went into the world, I was like, what are they talking about? Taboo? Or I walk into the room and my confidence speaks for itself. I walk into the room, I don't audition because I have to now hide who I am. This is who I am. And that's how I get roles or I get jobs, because I don't walk into the room saying, they might not take me because I'm gay. I don't know that. So it makes a huge difference. So to parents,
very
it's very important to let them be, because it is very unfair, because you are you. You are you. No one has ever questioned who you are. So why are you questioning who your child is?
Yes.
And that plays a huge role. And to kids that are going through that, I would never advise you to say, no, be rebellious and stuff like that, because your circumstances don't allow you to. You depend on them. You
Yes.
this and that. So be patient. Be patient until you get to a place where you're going to stand up and say, this is who I am, take it or leave it, with respect.
Yeah.
With respect. And you don't,
That's beautiful.
it's like having a horrible boss, but you cannot quit the job because your bread depends on it. It's the same thing. You wait until you are on your feet, you've made enough money to say, I am done. So it's very important.
Okay, cool. And David, just to touch on what Somizi was saying, I want to know, first of all, if you agree with what he's saying. And then I also want to know, like, growing up for you, you obviously went through a period where you started going through experiencing anxiety and depression and all that stuff. So I want to know, from childhood, were you cushioned? Or did you have those barriers and those parameters that you had to overcome? And if not, what were the things that sort of caused you to slip into your depression, into your anxiety?
So growing up, I wanted to be my dad. My dad's an ear, nose, and throat surgeon. And I saw just the amazing work that he did. He cured people's hearing. He, helped people smell and swallow for the first time in a long time. And he just helped a lot of people through the work that he did. So I think that's why I wanted to be my dad. I wanted to help people because I saw how rewarding it was in his job to make a big difference in people's lives. So I went to Wits to study medicine, and I lasted 6 months. And that was probably one of the darkest times in my life.
Did you feel like a failure at the
I
time?
felt like a massive failure because, I'm spending all this time on Wits medical campus, just trying to keep up with all the work, and I didn't have time for creativity anymore. I didn't have time for making music, and that was definitely the darkest time in my life. I was very much at loggerheads with my parents, and it's interesting what Somizi says about, white children. I will never know what it's like to be black, as you will never know what it's like to be white. But it's not to say that white children don't have struggles. I have many white friends who never knew their parents. So in many ways, I think having parents that loved you for who you were is far better than some of my white friends who might have all the money and things in life, but don't have parents that actually love them. And I think that's at the core is the most important thing. But I think through all of this and feeling like a failure, my parents still loved me. And
that you just couldn't shake that whole feeling like
I think I was just so set on being who my dad is and just trying to live up, or at least try to be half the man that he is. And just falling short just was really tough. But then I came into my own, and now my parents really are proud of me. They've always been proud of me, and they've always supported me. So I guess I've been lucky.
You touched on something very important, failure. And that's also another thing that we're afraid of. We are all so afraid of failure. And we don't fundamentally understand that failure is part of growth. But we're so fearful of failure and rejection that, for me, that's what's caused a lot of my anxiety. And I'll tell you, for me, like something for me that I went through, the dark time that I went through growing up was that my father committed suicide when I was young. And our family literally changed. I went from being a cheese boy to the family that was struggling. And I swore to myself that I would never be a failure. And not only that, I made a vow to myself that no matter how hard shit got, I would never commit suicide, right? And that's the one thing that has kept me, no matter how rough things have been in my life, that's the one thing that has sort of kept me going, right? So I want to know from you, and I'll open this up to anyone. Have you ever gotten to the point where you've wanted to throw in the towel? You decided, I can't do this anymore, I'm calling it quits. Have you been on the brink of suicide? And what led you there, and what got you out of there?
I'll take it, man.
Yeah.
If I can take a piece of what Somizi said earlier on.
Yeah.
We measure so much of our lives, our self-worth, our value, against what the world thinks of us, So when I had my challenges, would you believe my low self-worth was as a result of what I think the world now thinks of me? Do you know what I mean?
Yeah.
And it's almost literally,
That's pretty
I
powerful,
wrote
bro.
about this in my book. It was literally the next day, where the doctor's looking over you, everyone's trying to pump you with some kind of medication, whatever, right? That you realize, wait a minute, man, what the hell am I doing trying to kill myself because of what they think? You know what I mean? And by they, I mean the world in general, you know? So I think for me, once you redefine, who you are, and not in comparison to anything else, then you almost start realizing what your self-worth and value is. But I do want to just answer the question and say, the world is really such an insensitive, cruel, and tough place.
Yeah.
And if you are a person of the world and not so much an individual who lives within yourselves, and answers to yourself, it is so easy for the world to devalue you in a second. It's the same goes, look, I suppose social media is almost a metaphor of what real life is. If you were to put up a picture now and somebody says, that's horrible, and you measure yourself based on that response, can you see how if, you multiply that, you can get your value down to zero quickly because you're so concerned about how the world views you, So for me, and I was so worried about making this comment because I feel like it's counterproductive, it's counter what we're trying to do. Because this whole premise of this whole thing is to say we should speak up more.
Yes.
Ne? Can I tell you, man, Askis, I found my strength by not speaking up, man, to hell with the world. Because the more I spoke up, the more my self-value was diminishing. Because then, my folks, bless their heart, they mean well. But now they speak to you with pity. Now when they call, it's not to say, hello, how are you? But it's to say, you haven't tried today again, eh? So what ends up happening is, at least for me, I became a total recluse. I was like, to hell with everybody. And there, believe it or not, is where I found my strength. Was in realizing I don't depend, what you think hasn't changed who I am. I still look in the mirror, I still see the same guy. You know what I mean? So.
And for us out there, everyone looking at you, like, we wish you could see what we see. Because when you talk about the fact that you wanted to take your life, like, sure, we aspire to this, dog. We work hard every day to become this. So do you understand why it's so hard for us to fathom that when you'd be at that brink? Pearl,
Yeah?
you are hands down one of the most beautiful human beings I've ever seen in life. Like, hands down. You're my friend. I'm not buying face. Right.
Yeah.
How does Pearl Thusi, international superstar, someone who has chats with Gabriel Union on Twitter, get to that point? How does Pearl Thusi get to the point where she goes, I want to take my life?
Well, the first one, and I don't mean for this to sound funny, but like them, I try to be funny to hide the seriousness, but still share the situation.
Yes.
When my mother just passed away, this is like now 16 years ago.
Yeah.
I remember my father was my father's having some sort of mental breakdown. The family was falling apart. And as kids, we were just like, yo, our mother just died, bro. Like, can you guys get it together? And I remember being so frustrated. I literally went to the kitchen, I grabbed a knife, closed the bedroom, my mother's bedroom. But I mean, I started, and then I said, oh, this is sore. This is not gonna, I should find another way to do that. This is not gonna work. And obviously my senses came back to me. And later on, I was in New York, and it had nothing to do with feeling isolated in New York. Although being alone, it was my first time being alone in New York.
City, yeah.
In a different city. But it wasn't New York that was the problem. It was the first time I dealt with my history and my demons, and I had no distractions, no kids, no dogs, no Somizi, no Zinhle, nothing. Just me and myself and I in my apartment. And when it snows outside, nobody's trying to leave. And it could be snowy like that for a week. And if I'm not going to work, I'm in my apartment. I'm not going anywhere unless I'm going to go see my friends or whatever that I made there. And I just want to, my relationship at the time, I feel like I was being emotionally manipulated, like to a certain extent. My sisters were against me. My father had me ended up in the papers. And it was the 2nd of January. So, you know, and I just landed in New York back again alone, and I'm reading on Twitter, oh, my father said this and this. Now I'm phoning to apologize to the family. You know, I'm sharing this to show that it's the ones closest to you
It'd be your own, yeah.
who will make you feel so low. And my sisters and I have obviously since rekindled or whatever, but that for me was when I was like, everyone closest to me, everyone who's supposed to love me, says I'm a terrible person. Why am I here? If the people, then I remembered I had a child. So I had to, and I'm not going to share more of that, but I remember I had a child, and I was able to recover. I just want to say something to what he said. You know, the word abuse comes from abnormal use.
Yeah.
So everybody watching this, anybody who tweets about us however they feel, yes, you have power to tell Castle Lite I'm shit and they mustn't hire me. Yes, you have that power. But don't abuse your power so that you can feel important. That is what's happening on social media. They know they can devalue us using our brands and all of that stuff and say, yeah, if we attack her, brands won't want to, we can affect her bag. So that's how that's why it affects us, because I think of how it's going to affect my bag. Yeah. And it's never about I really think of myself that way. No, it's about how is this going to affect how I feed my children. Yes. And people are struggling to use the power. Yes, you are viewers, you are the audience, we have to serve you. You are important. You are the reason we are here. Of course it is. But don't abuse the power you have to destroy me just because you feel like you can. It's not right and it's unfair. And the last thing I wanted to add to what was said is, for people, you need to surrender sometimes. Yes. People don't understand the importance of surrendering. When times are tough, you will only see the light and opportunity in your situation when you surrender. Stop fighting a situation you cannot change. Be wise enough to understand, open your eyes, see what's happening. And this year taught me a lot about character, who you choose to be in a world that we saw this year, and also surrender to a situation so that you can see the light and opportunity in the situation that you find yourself in, and then you'll be able to move forward instead of trying to force things that you cannot change.
Thank you so much, Siswam, thank you so much for sharing that with us. Thank you so much. Somizi, I'm coming to you next. We want to obviously just, I want to keep you mindful of time because I want to give the audience an opportunity just to fire some questions at us. But I want you to take me to that moment where you were in your dark place. You've seen every aspect of this industry. You've had every type of friend. You've gone through the most. There were times when there were rumors about this, about that, about you. I want to know, what were you going through when you were going through that dark time, and what got you to that point where you decided, this is it, I'm done. I'm gonna off myself.
Okay, for me, is this sanitized? For me, I did not get to a point where I said it's over. I got to a point where I wished I was dead. I think there's a difference. Yeah, so there was a point, and I always thought of Lebu Matosa. I was like, I wish I could switch roles with Lebu right now. So it was dark. But this is the part that people take for granted. What kept me, when you look at things or see things with a spiritual eye, there's a huge difference when you look at them with a physical eye.
Yes.
Because the physical eye, you want to touch it, you want to have it, you want to hold it, and also,
aircon.
So
when David needed, so he was getting hot.
When you look at things with the spiritual eye, the spirit is stronger and bigger than anything. The spirit never dies.
Yes.
And when you know that even the devil, because everything that's happening is by the devil, is evil.
Temptation.
It's by Satan.
Yeah. Satan.
And the one thing that Satan wants from you is your soul.
Yes.
And if you deprive him of that, and I'm not being religious, I'm being spiritual, get that? If you deprive him of your soul, you have won the war.
Yes.
And that's how I won the war, because when I started looking at things spiritually, I realized that this is such a beautiful thing to happen to me right now, because it is preparing me for the greatest things that are going to happen in my life.
And look
I
now.
need to be ready for that point, because what does it do? It sifts who's supposed to be with you on the other side,
yes,
and who's not supposed to be
yes,
with you on the other side. It's greener on the other side. Trust me, for everyone, it's greener. But when you go, you have to go through that. You are a diamond in a rock, and you're going to be bitten and shaped and da-da-da. Do you think if the diamond was not patient, would it shine like it shines now? It wouldn't. So that's what happens when you look at things with the spiritual eye.
Yes.
It's a preparation for the greater chapter of your life. And it doesn't mean it stops. Even now I can identify it when it comes. I'm like, there's something huge that's coming.
If I'm going
I'm
through
ready
this,
for it.
yes.
Let me go through it.
Yes.
This is my journey.
Yes.
It means also, and you will see when you get there, like, now I'm getting this thing. This thing, you flow. So, one, look at things with a spiritual eye.
Yes.
Two, look after your spirit. We tend to look after the physical, the body. Am I fat? Am I this? Am I pretty?
We don't look after the mind.
Yeah, look at the mind is the spirit.
I know, yes.
Yes. Look after your spirit. Let your soul rest in peace all the time. Not when you're dead. Why would you rest in peace when you're dead? Rest in peace now. Everything else will come into place.
Thank you so much, Somizi. Yes. Preach. It's very important, guys. And Somizi touched on a very important
Bishop
topic.
Somizi.
We spend hours looking after ourselves, gymming, putting together outfits, makeup tutorials, hair. Why are we not spending the same amount of time on our mental health?
Sure.
Why are we not speaking to people? Why are we not seeking help, going to therapy? It's very important to do that. So guys, I want to open up the floor to our audience, all right? And we want you guys to keep the conversation going with us. So remember to tag us at Lite SA and use the hashtag #TheLiteBar. So I have two questions in the audience. We're going to make sure we bring a sanitized mic to you. So we're going to take 2 questions. Just we're a bit low on time. So I don't know which side I should start. Which side should I start? Oh, all right. Yes. What is your question?
All white.
All right.
For me, it's not, I don't need, okay, I'm not an English person, so I'm not even going to try.
No, I'll translate for David.
So, I mean, I think years ago when I was identifying as a gay person, I used to get a lot of judgment from the community. Oh no, you know what? You don't look a certain way. You're supposed to do 1, 2, 3, and 4. And at that time, there was literally no one to speak to. Okay, fine. Then I transitioned. Now, of course, I identify as a transgender woman. I'm a transgender woman. And within the community, the LGBTI community, no, she's actually not trans enough, She's not gorgeous as so-and-so. She doesn't speak the certain way as, then you get compared, by the same people that are supposed to actually, I would assume they're supposed to be protecting
I want
you.
to meet these people that are saying you're not gorgeous. Yes,
And then the other thing, so I'm usually a very open person to people that I call friends. I mean,
Yeah.
if I spend time with you, then I'm able to share things to you. I usually would like to believe Guti Sabankan.
Yes.
I remember this one moment, one of the panelists that are here, I don't know, I don't think I should mention the name. So I shared something with a close friend of mine at that time. I don't know if we are still close, but yeah, I still consider her as a friend or him as a friend. Listen, babe, a friend of mine who is actually a journalist at so which is something that I was not even supposed to share because, I mean, that person also is doing their job. But because they are friends with me, they're like, yo, listen, I'm writing a story about so I want to finish the person. And then they tell me the details of what really went down or whatever. Of course, I wasn't there. And my thing was, you know what, babe, I understand this is your job, but I would hate for you like you do. The other person that you want to write the story about have got this project that they are working on, and if their sponsors were to actually read such things, it would be so damaging. Mm-hmm. The other person is in a relationship, and if you were to write such things, I don't know what you want their partner to actually say. Think of it as this person was actually somebody who is your family member. Would you still do the same thing? And then I shared this with a friend, of course.
Okay.
I don't know then how then it's got to the person that was supposed to be, and then boom.
So,
Um,
and I'm sorry to rush you. It's just our,
Yeah, no.
our people have data issues that are watching.
Oh,
So,
yeah.
What is the question?
So my thing is that I was in a space where now I just didn't know who do you speak to about things, because
Okay.
who do you speak to? Because now I can't speak to my family and say, okay, hey, listen, I'm in a predicament, but also I can't speak to friends and say.
I hear your question, and I'm going to simplify it very quickly. And also, you see why confidence is very important, guys. You must be confident in yourself. Because she said, apologies.
Thank you, I don't look like your father.
She said,
I don't look your father.
I don't know if I can do this in English. And then proceeded to speak English for 15 minutes.
Yeah, no, it's okay that I did that.
You didn't even have
Now
to
he's-
translate for me.
So I don't have to translate for David. So basically the question is, he was caught between a rock and a hard place. She was caught in I apologize. She was caught in between a rock and a hard place. And what happens is, she's in a situation where she's been giving information that could critically hurt another person, right? And they are in the situation where they could either stop it on this side, try inform this person, but they're stuck in the middle. In a situation like that, who do you talk to? Who do you open up to? Because now you're dealing with two...
You talk to the person in the mirror. Who is the person in the mirror? Who are you? Okay, you are who you are, but deeper, the spiritual side of you with your spirit's eye,
What's the right thing? Yeah.
You are complicit even with your silence.
Yes.
You are like the ladies or the gentlemen who are listening to the person getting beaten up next door. Asizingeni akusindaba yethu. So you need to look in the mirror and decide that conversation you can only have with yourself, because we can tell you a million things about therapy and friends and your peer and your pastor, everything. But if you can sleep at night and you read that story and someone's life is destroyed and you could have done something to stop it, and you can still sleep at night after that, then that says more about you, or it says just as much about you as the fact that you even have a friend who gets excited about destroying people's lives.
Oh, Pearl, thank you for that answer. I'm going to shoot next question. If it can be 3 sentences, amazing. I'm joking. Go ahead.
Sorry, I just want to say thank you to Somizi, because like as a straight presenting queer person, that chat what you had about like living your life, wonderful. But the question I actually have is mainly about like, so when it comes to being a man or representing as a man or identifying as a man, the problem is that we keep throwing out issues to women. Like we keep saying, my mom will solve it, my mom will help me, my sister will help me, and also they have definitely confronted me about it, and my friends will help me. So what happens then when those people are removed? Or what happens then when you have to go into a friend who can't even deal about their own emotional like well-being? Like, what's the chat? And it's not just to Somizi, by the way, just.
So that's open to anyone. Yes, that's
so
open
you
to
can't,
anyone.
I just don't understand the question, sorry. You can't speak to your friends, your family, because you've gotten to a point where they feel like you're depending too much on them and you're not standing on your own. And you're saying, if I can't talk to those people because...
Oh, so the chat is basically like, guys, a lot of the time, find a female confidant, and then they go to that female confidant, and then you throw all of their issues at that female confidant.
Yes.
I mean, you might not have been that female confidant, I don't know, but like, we go to them, we throw all our issues, we say, this is my problem, we say, these are my relationship problems, we say, these are my family problems, and we keep going and we keep going and we keep going, and then we overload that person, and then the person disappears, and then it becomes very hard to navigate your entire environment, because that person might have been your mom, your sister, your friend, or whoever.
But this is the whole point of what we're doing here today. We're encouraging everyone to talk. So you can't overburden one person with your issues. Because also what happens, touch wood, something happens to that person and they're no longer there. Now this is the person that's carrying all your deepest, darkest secrets, all your this and that. This is the person you depend on. This is why it's important to talk to as many people as possible. From a professional level, from a spiritual level. Because a lot of people say, I can't afford therapy. Church is free. Well, you have to live, but church is free, right? There are government centers that are set up where we have social workers and people like that. Also, mentors in whatever that you're doing, in the career that you're in. I have found father figures in what I've done. I have grown as a person because I found father figures in friends that are older than me, friends that are the same age as me, people who have guided me in the industry, fairy godfathers who have guided me in the industry. Do you know what I mean? So I need you to understand that you can speak to anybody and everybody. Find the right person to confide in, and don't just offload. Also, listen to them.
And sometimes people, well done. Sometimes people want to talk for the sake of talking. They're not looking for solutions. They're not getting to the... Some people also get addicted to talking about their problems. Let's talk about that. But you need to also, you can't... I'm a friend... My friends love telling me about their problems, but they only bring the problems that they know I have, can find, and am willing to invest in a solution for.
Yes.
I can't go to the pastor and talk about things that the pastor cannot help me with. So you've got to find the right people. Like, I have 4, 5, 6 best friends, because they each serve a specific purpose. I can't bring this. Zinhle, when I bring my crying boy problems that she cannot cope, I know who to go to for that. Ooh, excuse me. When I need to talk about building a business and issues in the industry, I know I can go to Zinhle. Generally, she's an all-rounder, but I'm trying to make an example here. So you can't also just have the one person. You've got to spread your wings in terms of...
And talk. We have our last question from our brother who never skips chest day, but definitely skips leg day.
So yeah, I just want to add to what Dave and Somizi said. I actually related to like what they said on a high level. I was also in a traditional boarding school. You know, we always had to have masks of toxic masculinity, right? And when I got to the point where I was like, I actually want to commit suicide, this is where I wanted to add on to what Somizi said. I didn't have the courage to do it, so it was, now I had to think about, am I going to do this, or am I going to actually face life?
Yeah.
But Somizi spoke about spirituality, and I found my spirituality in doing what I love and what makes me happy, right? So for somebody that's not maybe very spiritual, because I come from a spiritual background, but you know, it still didn't do anything for me in terms of like enriching my soul. So for someone that doesn't know where to start in terms of like spirituality or seeing things with their spiritual eye, like you said, what advice would you give to someone who says, okay, look, I'm not going to end this, but then I need to deal with this head on and actually make things get better?
You know, some people find it earlier, some people find it later in life.
Yes.
But it's very important that you find it. And again, let's not confuse spirituality and religion.
Yes. Very
Religion is verse 4, 663, Jezebel 8. Spirituality is
knowing
your
self.
spirit,
Yes.
knowing self.
Yes.
You need also to find your sense of belonging. And spirituality as well, and that's the part that we miss, especially black people. I'll speak for black people. We miss this part of the ancestral connection. That plays a huge role. Your dreams play a huge role. They are messages. They're not just dreams. That thing called a dream is magical. It does not just happen. And I'm saying black people because we have turned to look down on it as if it's dark, as if it's evil. And that part also, if you are confused, depending on the type of family background you come from, you go back, you ask those questions. How do I connect with my ancestors? How do I speak with my ancestors? Ancestors are not to be worshipped, but to be acknowledged. Acknowledged. Those are spirits. You are a spirit that when you transcend to the other side, how would you feel if you are being ignored on earth when you are supposed to do things for the people on earth? How would you feel? Think of that. And that helps. It connects you. Jewish people have got their own way of a Hindu, Muslim, they've got their shrines, they've got their incenses that they light. And at Tina, we look down on Mpho.
Yes.
And Amakambi and all those things. You will look down on having a shrine in Dumba, in Dini. All those things play a huge role. But if you are not that way inclined,
yes,
find it. Speak to your elders. It doesn't have to be your father. It could be your gogo. It could be your gogo's aunt or your gogo's cousin. Go speak to them and say, I am empty inside. And once you will find it, once you find it, no matter what it is, trust me, it is the most beautiful place to be in, the most solid and comfortable place, because also that also helps you, and everyone is capable of doing that.
Yes.
It helps you gauge people based on their energies, not on their physical appearances. You are able to get rid of negative energies, no matter how good looking they are. You are able to bring positive energies, no matter how bad or whatever the world says they look. You are able to do that. So it helps you. Because I always say to you, that to people, that blessings don't land in spaces where there are stains. And that is very important. So once you get into that spiritual kazanga, you are gone.
Thank you, Somizi, for that. I think that was a beautiful way to actually wrap up. Thank you for that. I think for me, it's such a beautiful way to wrap that up. And where I'll add in about actually going to talk to your ancestors and what. Some of us have unresolved issues with loved ones that are gone. Our grandparents, our dad, our mom. The reason why we encourage it and we say it's part and parcel of our culture is you can go to the grave and still talk to this person. This person might not be here, but they're still with you. The first time I saw you, when we got together, I asked you, how are you? And you didn't even hesitate. You said, you know, the moment my mom got to heaven, she was like, can you guys just wait? I want to make things happen for my son. And you're like, I've never been as successful as I've ever been. So believe in your ancestors. Teach that to your kids. Keep it going. And I want everyone out there to know, I want everyone in here to know that all of us are a work in progress. Every single person sitting here is a work in progress. Don't look at anyone here and think they've achieved everything. He's not done. He's not done. She's not done. He's not done. We're still building ourselves. We don't have the bodies we want. We don't have the cars we want. Oh, Somizi does. But we don't have the cars that we want. So we are all a work in progress. Don't be afraid to fail. Fail forward. And most importantly, remember to talk, guys.
But Mpho, hold on, man. Sorry, man. It will sit on my heart if I go home and I didn't say this parting shot. And I know we wanna wrap up.
I want you to wrap it up.
I honestly am only worried, and it's the unpopular opinion, that we seem a little bit prescriptive with what we think is the solution. And my parting shot, if I may, is to say, I don't think there's a one-size-fits-all solution.
Yes.
You know, spirituality may work for Somga. Being humorous and lighthearted about it may work for you. Yes. Confiding in your friend may work for you. Solitude is what works for me. So what I'm learning from this process is what works for you is what works for you. I know somebody who gets into the gym and lets the boxing bag have it. And that's how they deal with their day. So my parting shot that I want to say is, I don't think there is a one-size-fits-all solution, because our backgrounds are different, our experiences are different, the reason we have difficulties are different, how we're going to come out of them is different as well. So take what works for you, customize it to yourself, and live a fruitful life going forward.
And the only way we can do that is by talking. Let's talk. Let's talk.
Or being quiet, that's my point though. I feel like you're not getting me.
But in order for you to get to the solitude point, you had to talk to people. To realize what works for you. And that's what we're encouraging everyone to do.
We're saying it's okay to talk about it. It's okay to have problems. It's okay to be emotional.
It's what you call to be
vulnerable.
It's what you call a paradox.
I just want to say, on behalf of South African women, South African men, black men,
and Umlungu over here.
We believe in you guys. There's a lot happening on this hashtag Men Are Trash. I think you guys deserve, and when I say you guys, obviously I have to generalize, but I don't believe we can say all men are trash, but there's a thing of accountability for what's happening in your country.
Yes.
And we just wish you guys would say, yes, sis, we wish you guys would come together and find a solution and heal yourselves so we stop suffering for your burdens as women.
Ooh.
That is all we want. Ooh. We believe in you. South African men, you can do it. We believe in you. Let's encourage them, ladies. Yes, we've encouraged them, their mothers encourage them, but they still need more encouragement, clearly. They're strong, they're incredible, they're intelligent men. So we believe in you. Please don't stop trying, don't stop talking, don't stop being solitude, what. Just figure it out and stop hurting us, because we actually believe in you. We still believe in you, and good luck, all the best. Figure it out.
Well, ladies and gentlemen, on that bombshell, thank you for those.
One more thing.
No, we want to talk, bro. So ladies and gents, thank you so much for tuning in. Thank you so much for being here. So, now that we've had our chat, we'd like to have a good time with you. We also want to keep the conversation going with you. Remember to use the hashtag the Lite Bar. We want to hear from you. We want to hear your thoughts. Please share your thoughts with us. And I think I want to send a special shout out to our brand. I think let's give a big round of applause to Casa Light for actually doing this, for starting the first ever Mind Matters pop-up bar. You know, and let's encourage others to talk and to seek help. And let's fight the stigma around mental illness and mental health. So ladies and gents, right about now,
Fighting the stigma.
it's about to go down.
That's
My man is about to go down. A man who has a
not
scientific
that you have to
DJ
tell
name,
everybody you're mentally
but
ill.
got 33% in science. Ladies and gentlemen, do you know a DJ by the name of DJ Black Coffee? His friend, DJ PH, is here. Ladies and gentlemen, give it up for the one, the only, the legendary, the most talented DJ in all of the land, PH!